Alrighty. So aggregate supply, aggregate demand. 5 key graphs. All right, this is the biggie. I can guarantee you it's going to be of at least one of the FRQs. All right. In talking to Jacob Clifford last night, and then watching what he published, we both agree that aggregate supply, aggregate demand will be number 1 on the first FRQ question, and we happen to both agree that it will tie to 4x. So that was a lucky guess from both of us there. The last time we agreed on FRQs, that's what showed up. So be ready for that. So let's talk aggregate supply, aggregate demand. What is aggregate demand? Show. Spending. Okay, it's all spending, right? Consumer, investment spending, government spending, foreign spending, or net exports. Okay, we're just talking in general. Aggregate supply. What does it show? Productivity. Production. Okay, productivity. So anything that would impact a business's willingness to produce, right? Input cost, profitability, production levels, resource cost. Those would all impact aggregate supply. Yes? All right. If I'm more profitable, good or bad? Good. I would increase aggregate supply. Cuts into my profits. Decrease. Okay. That makes sense. We're all good there. Right. If I decrease aggregate supply, what does that cause in the economy? Stagflation, high unemployment, high inflation at the same time. We all want to die. Okay. If you decrease aggregate supply, knew that was coming. I will fall at some point today. All right. This is awkward looking at myself.
Are you live?
Yeah. I'm not even sure. No. Why would I say hello? Yes. All right. So let's practice drawing the graph. So don't look at any of your notes. Put them all away. All right. So big tip. Draw your graphs big on the FRQs. All right. All right. So you will get an FRQ at the top of the page, and then you'll have like half of a page below, and then you'll have like 3 or 4 more pages. Okay. We know it doesn't take 3 or 4 pages to enter an FRQ. It shouldn't.
If you write big enough.
It shouldn't. All right. So draw your graph big and clear. All right. Make your movements almost exaggerated so that they are easy to spot. All right. On the ASAD curve, what goes on the vertical line? Price level. All right. Now, that's not the price of one product. It's not just the prices of goods that we buy. It's the prices of everything. Wages, input costs, coffee, water, computers, all right, everything in the economy together. It's all prices combined. Yes? Okay, so when we raise price level, we're raising prices, you're in inflation, but you also have wages and input costs going up as well. Okay? Hopefully the wages are increasing faster than the prices. Hopefully. All right, what goes on the bottom? Real GDP. Right, and we use real GDP because we're measuring over time and we're adjusting for inflation. What does GDP measure? Production. All right, so another way of saying when you shift stuff on this graph, they can ask you how does price level change, but also output, because GDP is output or production. You adjust for inflation, so you can use the GDP deflator, they like to call it. You just divide by the price index. So you take nominal GDP and divide by the price index, or which they will give you. They would give you nominal GDP, and they would give you the price index, and you just divide the two. Like CPI. All right, so aggregate supply, what does it look like? Upward sloping. Right? due to the fact that producers don't like high costs, so they produce less, and as costs go down. Oh no, sorry, scratch that. That's aggregate demand. All right, it's upward sloping. We know that. I'm not even going to try to explain why. Just draw it. All right, just do it. We know it. Long run aggregate supply. What does it look like? Vertical, right? All right, and it shows classical economics. So if they ask you anything that deals with classical or there's no change, they're talking long run aggregate supply. All right, what's it also show? Full production, full employment. All right, so you can label it YF at the bottom. Aggregate demand, downward sloping. Now, we can show 3 states of the economy with this graph, right? All right, we can show full employment, right? Where they all intersect together. Yes?
Yep.
All right, what's the other states that we could show? Recession, where would that be? All right, from there you would have a decrease in aggregate demand, right? You have below, right? What's the other thing you can show? Inflation, where would that be? Demand would be above full employment. So you'd be having a high price level, okay? So with this graph, you can show 3 states of the economy. I can't do it. Yeah. All right, so 3 states of the economy: full employment, inflation, recession. Nothing new. You know this. Okay? Label clearly, draw big, move your lines huge. All right, so how could they word it? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
All right, if you see wording of we are below full employment, let's say that you're in a recession. All right, if we are operating in an economy above full production, that's inflation. We're operating with a unemployment level below the natural rate of unemployment. That's the one that's the most confusing.
What? To the left.
All right, an unemployment level below the natural rate of unemployment.
Which would be it.
That would be inflation. All right,
Why did it word it like that?
why would they word it like that? To see if you know what everything shows.
Oh.
All right, so remember, long run shows full production, which would be the natural rate of unemployment. And if your unemployment rate is below that, so if the natural rate is 5, your unemployment level would be 4. You're not in a recession. You're going to be battling inflation. Okay? So what if you have a unemployment rate above the natural rate? You're in a recession. All right? So are we good with that graph? We're going to come back to it and show how changing other graphs will change that graph. But are we good with that graph? Maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Good? Sure? Don't just nod at me. Move on. We have plenty of time. Don't need to rush. Don't get sassy. I'm supposed to be getting sassy with y'all, not you with me. All right. So Phillips curve is the next big one. All right. Again, I think they're going to have aggregate supply, aggregate demand on number 1, but they could tie it to Phillips curve. No big deal, right? Easy peasy. All right, so what's on the vertical line?
Inflation.
Inflation. You can use pi %, right? But it's inflation. All right, what's on the horizontal? Unemployment. All right. You have short run Phillips curve, which is probably the only thing that we draw like a real curve, at least for us. All right, real curvy. Showing the relationship that at high inflation, we have low unemployment, and at low unemployment, we have high inflation. Yep. Okay. You have long run Phillips curve, labeled LRPC, because it's the long run Phillips curve. All right. What does that line also show? Full employment. Okay. LRPC is the same as what other line on other graph? LRAS. All right. So those two lines are connected, are related. I just put full employment. FE. Or this line, view percentage
No,
unemployment.
I was asking about that.
Okay. We good?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. It's just a spot. All right. So we had our ASAD graph in our 3 states. We can show those same 3 states on the Phillips curve, right? Yes? All right. So where would I put point A if we're showing unemployment or a recession? Way over here, right? That'd be point A. All right. So we have a recession. Yes?
Yep.
All right. Things get better. I got better. All right. I watched a lot of Mighty Python last time. Sorry. There was no good hockey. So we got better. How would I show that? I shift along the line, right? So if we got better, we would move to where we're at full employment. So that would be point B, right? That just moving along the line. Oh yeah, I'm where they connect. Right. So what if we got 2 better? We didn't be inflation, and we just still continue moving along the line. All right. So there. Now, can this line move?
Yes.
Yes? How? Right. If I change aggregate supply on ASAD, we shift the curve here. How do they shift?
Productivity.
Opposite. Okay? Inverse relationship. So let's draw that. Price level, real GDP. Aggregate supply.
You're so cool, Aaron.
Thanks for sharing though.
Aaron.
What's Aaron doing?
He won't stop talking about the
It's crazy, right? I've never seen one in person.
I've never seen a MacBook either. You have one? Is it pretty? What did we name it? It's Delilah? Why is it Delilah? We promised no country Jesus. I can pull them up here a little bit. All right. So, they don't know what the joke is. All right. So, what if I shift aggregate supply to the right? Is that a good or a bad thing?
It increases.
It's a good thing. All right. What happened to price level? Decreased. What happened to real GDP? It increased. If we have increasing GDP, so what does that do to unemployment? So unemployment goes down. Why? Yeah, I'm producing more. So I have more people working, which means lower unemployment, right? Pretty simple economic logic. Okay, so we now have on the Phillips curve, your 2 variables are inflation and unemployment. If we're decreasing those, that just shifts to the left. Doesn't matter what graph it is, left is decrease. So you would shift SRPC to the left. So a rightward shift of aggregate supply causes price level to decrease, which is tied to inflation, causes GDP to increase, which is tied to unemployment, making it decrease. So on the Phillips curve, both unemployment and inflation decrease, so you shift to the left. All right?
You just drew with an autumn, if that has to do with what you just wrote.
So,
You said price level of decrease, you drew it up.
oops. There we go.
Okay, yeah. That's what I thought.
Sorry, get on.
Wait, what causes that?
What on this one? The rightward shift here. Aggregate supply. So what can cause aggregate supply to increase?
Productivity.
The input cost.
Anything that changes.
A decrease in input cost. What else? A new technology. Yeah, that would work.
What was the question?
What would cause aggregate supply to increase? So we decreased input cost. We had new technology. Changing expect inflation. Long run. Anything else?
What about increased capital investment?
That would be LRS. That'd be K. Talking short run. That's it. You're good. Worker productivity. You could throw that in there. But all right, what would cause it? Input cost. So it would be a decrease in input cost because now it's cheaper to produce. A new technology, which would make it more efficient to produce. Increasing worker productivity or decreasing inflation expectations, which would cause it to be cheaper to produce.
For demand, does it increase demand if there's like not enough? What was the word?
I couldn't find my bat markers this morning.
Like whenever like a factory has a bunch of supplies in stock, that increases demand. If they don't have a bunch, that increases demand. Like if they have a
Okay, so you're talking. It can. All right. So what if Melanie asked, what if we have a bunch of capital stock? A business has a bunch of capital stock laying around. How does that change business spending? Because that's part of aggregate demand. So if it's expected, probably doesn't change much.
but if it's unexpected.
If it's unexpected, so we have an unexpected increase in capital stock. What does that mean is happening in the economy? People aren't buying things. So what does that do to aggregate demand? It would decrease it. If it's unexpected, as a business, I went selling stuff, I was producing at a certain level, and then all of a sudden people stopped buying my stuff for whatever reason. It means consumers stop spending, but it also means I'm not going to invest as much, which is business spending, because now I already have the product I don't need to produce anymore. All right, if there's an unexpected drop in capital stock, I was producing at a certain level, and then all of a sudden I don't have any built up resources anymore. Demand increases because now I have to spend to catch back up.
Do you mean like capital stock? You mean
Yeah, inventories.
Wait, what?
It was investment demand, but it's business spending. But it ties to aggregate supply agreement. So if there's capital stock inventories laying around, that impacts business spending, which is investment demand, and you changing business spending changes aggregate demand. Because aggregate demand is all types of spending. Produce. Yeah, so you would produce less. Because I already have it, I'm not going to produce to make any more. Demand, because now, yes. So if I decrease investment, I decrease aggregate demand. Okay. No.
thank God.
Yes. Why did I have it? So that you understood that the value of money changed over time. So we would talk real interest rates. It was. I think if we weren't on camera, she would. She doesn't care either. All right. So are we good with those two graphs? All right. We're on camera right now. I don't know. I don't know who's on camera. I don't know. We have 3 or 4 people watching. A Malcolm, somebody from somewhere. All right. So, anything else on those two graphs? Are we good? All right. Let's look at 4X. Everybody's favorite. Yay. And the crowd rejoiced. Mighty Python reference number 2. I was going to try to hit 5. That's my goal. Do you not like Mighty Python?
No, it just looked weird the first time.
Okay. All right. What does the 4X graph show? What's the what does it show? What market?
Foreign exchange market.
It is the foreign exchange market. Good job of just stating the name. We're in trouble. What are you buying and selling? Currency, not money, because that's money market. Currency, like the actual stuff you hold. Remember, money is demand deposits, coins, currency. So right now we're trading just currency. All right, we're trading dollars for something else. Or, no, we're getting that later. All right, so we're just trading currency. All right. So,
Like a more broad term than currency.
yes, money includes credit and everything. Currency is just the physical stuff you hold on to.
And what is what?
M1?
Yes.
What is M1?
Tangibles.
It's tangible money. It's cash, coins, demand deposits. Technically, yes, but don't worry about it being tied. They don't tie them together.
Should we
All right.
draw both graphs? Like, if it's should we draw like it's like euro-
Should you draw both graphs?
Should you draw both? Or
If it helps you.
Or like, but it won't count off if we draw both.
No. So, off.
So if you
All
don't
right.
know which one to draw, you just put both of them on there. It's gonna tell you which one to draw.
Yeah, it's going to tell you which one to draw. So, all right, so it's going to tell you which graph to draw on the Forex. All right, it'll say in the dollar market. Well, then we're drawing the dollar market, right? Price of dollar, quantity of dollars, supply of dollars, demand of dollars, right? Keep it simple, right? All right, we could be buying and selling things from another country, like Canada. Well, let's not do Canada because they have the same symbol. Let's do Europe. All right. We can buy hockey players. Stars need a couple of those tonight. I need Tyler Sagan back.
Yeah.
But he's not playing because he's hurt, so I need a hockey player. Can we get Ovechkin? He got eliminated last night. Lane, you're too small. You would get crushed by those Blues. They're huge. That's our problem right now. All right, so
What's the euro?
what's the euro sign? It's a C with two lines in it. It's a dollar. All right, so when you're doing with Forex, you're really doing with two markets operating at the same time, right? Okay. But they're only gonna ever ask you about one of them. All right. The key to Forex is knowing which graph they're asking you to look at and from what angle. Okay. So on the dollar market, all right, the dollar currency, the things that you have in your pocket. Okay. Who controls the supply of the dollar? We do. As Americans, we control the supply. It's our currency. We control that supply. Who controls the demand? The other country, in this case, Europe. Okay? Continent. European Union group of people. Thank you. All right. So they control the demand. We control supply. On the euro market, who controls the supply?
They do.
They do. The Europeans. The continent. Better? Okay. Who controls demand? We do. As the United States, we would control demand. All right. So what are the things that could influence this graph? Real interest rates. All right. Changes in GDP.
Taste and preferences.
Inflation and taste and preferences. Is this second period? Is that what they're?
Yeah.
Paige, Hannah. Over here is part 3 to your review. I know you're excited. Y'all can grab that and work on it. All right. So what if we have higher interest rates in Europe? Okay. Whoa. Higher interest rates here in Europe. All right. Where will investors want to invest? Europe. Why? Higher rate of return. So on Forex, when you're looking at investment, it's rate of return. And interest rates attract investors. All right, so as Americans, we will want to invest in Europe, which means that we will have to trade our dollars for euros. All right, so how does that affect the dollar market? We're Americans. How does it affect the dollar market? What do we control? Supply. Supply would increase. All right. Why would supply increase? Right. We want to invest in Europe. Higher interest rates. We get more money back. To do so, we have to demand euros. To buy those euros, we have to put dollars on the market. So we would increase the supply of dollars, increasing the demand of euros. Opposite line, same direction. All right. What if, so we're done with that example. What if the real interest rate increased in the United States? How would that impact us as Americans? Well, where do we want to invest now as Americans? In America. So what would we do on the Forex market? Decrease supply. All right, because we're decreasing the demand of euros because we're not investing in Europe anymore. We're investing in our own country. So we would decrease the supply of dollars.
We're talking like domestically, not like from the European perspective.
Yeah, we're looking at it from the Americans' perspective. All right. It would, but we wouldn't change demand. The Europeans would change demand. But I asked from the American perspective. If they asked, how would it change from the American perspective? All right, same question. Increased in real interest rates. How does that affect the demand for the dollar? Increase, because the Europeans now want to invest. All right. So on Forex questions, pay attention to what market and what perspective. All right, if they're asking you to change supply, how does that impact the supply of dollars? That's how would Americans react to that change? All right, would we demand more of the other currency or less, which would then change supply of our currency? Right? If they're saying, how does it change demand for American dollars? What would the foreigners do? All right, and vice versa. They can ask for demand or supply of euros or whatever currencies out there. The Molden, as I got yesterday. It was yesterday.
Will they give you like little currency symbols on the chest?
No.
No, you gotta figure it out.
All right, so currency symbols. Ones you should know, obviously, the dollar, right? We all know the dollar. Never seen this one before? That's the dollar. Okay.
That's what I always thought about. When I looked at, no, it has to be two right lines, but now you said.
Oh, I didn't.
No, that's from like multiple.
Oh, it was just $1. You can use
No,
one line.
What's that one? Yen. All right. The Y with 2 lines is a yen.
That's just, if we just put
That's
Y,
Japan.
okay.
Japan,
Yeah, if you use.
yen. All right. That's Japan's yen. I would not freak out about this. All right. The C with 2 lines. Euro. All right. Now, a P? I don't know. Now, what if they give you a country you have no idea, like South Korea? They like to use South Korea in the won.
Put a W, like a long and
All right. Here's what you would do. I would draw my graph. Price, quantity, supply, demand. If it says won, I would put a W. All right, and then off to the side, I would put W equals 1. I would just make a key.
So if we don't know what to do,
I have no idea. I think it's a W with a line through it, but
look it up right now.
look it up. Maybe, probably.
I'm gonna write W as third term.
All right. No, that's yesterday.
Third term.
Okay, that was yesterday. All right.
W with 2 lines.
Oh, it's a W with 2 lines.
Yeah. That's 2 terms.
Yes, it is. Vertical or horizontal?
Horizontal. So there you go. Now we got the 1 correct.
That seems like we made a W and didn't want to write this.
I know, it kind of looks weird. All right. So, anything else? Oh, wow. So, where are you from? I don't know where you're from.
Is this on like your YouTube channel?
Yes. No pressure here. I'm not screwing this up. All right. So, are we good here? All right. I need somebody else watching Twitter for me. Oh, they're asking if I can use a dry erase board. I don't have one with me. Sorry. All right. So, any other major questions on Forex? What if there's a change in price level? They haven't done that in a while, so it could show up. Change in inflation.
This isn't live.
This isn't live. It's what, like 30 seconds behind?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's disappointing. All right. I have no idea. We're scrubbing it really quickly. All right. So a change in price level. Where do we want to buy our stuff from? Where it's cheapest. Okay. So we're trading with Europe still. This is what we drew earlier. What if there's a increase in the price level in the United States? What happens to the demand for the dollar? A decrease, right? Europeans want to buy where it's cheaper. If our prices are increasing, they're going to buy domestically. Our dollar decreases. All right. Europe's prices are increasing. They're experiencing inflation. How does that impact the supply of euros? European prices are going up. How does that affect the supply of euros? It increases because they're going to demand more dollars, so they would supply more euros because our prices are cheaper. All right. Do it. Inflation. That's price level. All right. We suddenly like to buy European cars. How does that affect the demand for the euro? Increase. All right. So wherever we're buying stuff from, either because the price level changes or preferences, that currency's demand will change, and then opposite line, same direction. Yes? All right. Let's tie it to exports. All right. If the dollar appreciates, how does that affect exports to Europe? Decrease.
Okay.
I like this phase though. All right. Why? Why would
It's higher price.
it cost more for Europeans to buy our goods? All right. You have a relative change in price. Our goods look more expensive. All right, because now it takes more euros to buy a dollar. Okay. Kenneth, could you run up to my room and get a couple of whiteboards? Yeah, you're colored. So get a couple of whiteboards and some markers. Whiteboards and markers on the way. All right. So what?
Yeah.
Yes, somebody asked if I would use whiteboards because they can't see my pen drawing. And y'all can't see the pen. Are there people watching us? Yes. No, I'm just sitting here with the computer open for no reason. I don't have one. I have a Sharpie pen. All right. So. Oh. All right. So what if? All right. All right. So price of the dollar increases. Oh, now I got lots of colors. All right. Thank you. All right. Price of the dollar increases. So net exports did what? Decreased. All right. What if she's feeding me lots of markers all of a sudden?
You asked.
I asked. All right. Price of the dollar decreased. Net exports would increase. All right. What's another way of saying the price of the dollar increased? Appreciates. Price of the dollar decreasing is depreciates. All right. So again, it ties in because dollar appreciating. It's now more expensive for Europe to buy our currency and buy our goods, so net exports would decrease. All right. Dollar depreciates. It now is cheaper for Europeans to buy our dollar, and so our goods look cheaper, so our net exports would increase. All right. Same type of question, just a different way of looking at it. The dollar appreciates. How does that impact imports? Increase. It's now cheaper for us to buy those European goods. All right, so we would buy more of them. Imports would go up, and then exports would go down. Okay, which is what causes net exports to decrease overall. Because net exports is imports minus exports. Yes? Okay. All right.
Import minus export.
So dollar appreciates, imports increase, exports decrease, right? And since net exports is imports minus exports, your net exports decrease.
When do we go to lunch?
So GDP decreases. All right.
Because that's-
So what do we go to what?
Lunch.
When do we go to lunch? You used to have 2 hours. We're not going to go the whole time.
I'll sell you my lunch.
Oh, supply and demand right here.
I'll give you a kiss.
Nah, it doesn't count. I already got a pen out.
All right.
You would've told me
Now,
earlier.
everybody's favorite part. We've done Forex. We've tied it to net exports. Balance of payments.
No.
Oh. All right.
Is it not biology? All about biology.
All right. On balance of payments, you have 3 accounts. We have current account. All right. Current account measures what? What, like, it's what we have now. It's imports and exports, right? So it's net exports. All right. So if we are having an increase in net exports, we are shipping more goods out. What does that do to our current account?
Increase. Don't do that face.
Follow the money. So we have exports, we have goods going out, money's coming in. So we have a,
Credit.
you can say credit or surplus.
Right. Oh, yeah. Got it. I wasn't wrong.
All right. So a increase in net exports increases your current account. You have a surplus. All right. Net exports decrease. All right. So now less goods are going out, or you can say that we are buying more. All right. So now we create a deficit, right? Because now we have money leaving. We're buying goods overseas because we have more imports coming in. All right. So now you can link your change in price of the dollars to net exports to current account. Okay. Remember when you looked at your pink sheet?
Yeah.
All right, we did a change in fiscal policy that changes interest rates, which changes foreign exchange, changes net exports, and it had that counter cyclical or lag because of the current account. Okay. All right, financial accounts. So your balance payments is current account plus financial or capital account.
Can you repeat that?
I'm writing. All right, so balance of payments is current plus capital plus the currency that the Federal Reserve uses. Right? What is in capital accounts? It's foreign investments. Foreign investments, which is directly tied to real interest rates. Okay? So we have a increase in real interest rates. How does that impact the capital account?
It will increase investment.
It increases foreign investment, which makes it have a surplus.
Okay, that's a lot easier to know.
All right. So if real interest rates are decreasing, it would be a deficit because we'll go invest overseas and we'll take money out.
Wait, you didn't write anything.
I will now. I couldn't spell it. I was worried I was going to spell it wrong. Deficit's hard for me.
What
Do
if
what?
we spell it wrong?
No, I can't spell. It's okay. I misspell tweets all the time. All right.
Do they take points off of spelling?
No,
Otherwise, we'll spell it right.
we're economists. We can't. It's spelling.
I spelled that.
You could just draw a down arrow and we'd be okay. All right. So, is this better? No. They move closer. Oh, they fell down. All right. So, Forex, balance of payments. All right, let's look at a question. So pull out or pull up on your computer or however you want to do it, the 2008 FRQ. All right, so I'm going to pull it up and throw it on the screen for me to see as well.
Just throw it.
No, I'm going to put it on my screen if I can figure out how.
Where's the one you just did? I'll take a picture.
Archie has it. Oh, it's the wrong one. It was on the poster on the wall. It makes sense now because you know how it all, you know where it all goes. Back then it was just a random piece of a puzzle. All right, so on 2008's FRQ, number 2 deals with balance of payments. 2008, number 2 deals with balance of payments.
Form B or Form A? Wait.
Just 2008, so no Form B.
I want to be in.
All right. So take a minute, work through it, and then we're going to talk about it. 2008, number 2. Thank you, Kenna.
No. It's like I give him a lot of records.
You did. I said thank you as you handed them to me and kept throwing them at me.
I did that problem. No, it's my
I'm coming just a second.
No, you can tell it about that. Do number 2. But you said did they start on time?
Oh.
Income free?
If not, we can do it.
I have a doctor.
I hope it's hard on time. But it's not nearly as long as AP US. The English one's not showing. What's up?
My nose surgery, that's what I'm supposed to do.
All right, a couple more minutes, and then we're gonna go with the answers.
Last time I went, like, he does great. I don't know what you're okay, so if I toss it from Belgium, like, it's like told it's like way too fast. Like, that's fine. But applying it,
It would be okay.
Yeah, I started doing one.
For real though, you did it.
Yeah. See, that's what I said. People like yelling at me. Swear.
All right, let's look at 2008. Maya, they see it as just buying goods. It's an export, so it's current. It would say investment.
So you just write.
Yeah. All right, let's go over this question. All right, number 2 on 2008 says balance of payments accounts record all of a country's international transactions during a year. A, 2 major sub-accounts in the balance of payments are the current and capital account. And which of these sub-accounts will each of the following transactions be recorded? So guess what? You have a 50-50 guess. It's either going to be current or capital, and that's it. All right, so guess, if nothing else, though you know this. So don't guess. All right. The United States resident buys chocolate from Japan or Belgium. God, dyslexia is kicking in.
How do you get?
All right. The United States resident buys chocolate from Belgium. Got it that time. Current or capital? Current. That is a import, right? It's an import.
The word current.
You would have to write current account.
I've already counted.
You wouldn't even, I guess you could just write current. All right, that's a point. Boom. Move on. Current. All right, it's part of the current account. All right. Bonus is at a deficit or surplus? Deficit, because the chocolate's coming in and your money's going out. So that's a deficit.
But we don't have
All
to
right.
write that.
You don't have to write that. That was bonus.
But if we write that, then we get a bonus.
No. It's bonus from Mr. Mulder.
Okay. Well, I mean, sometimes like on the biology, you went above and beyond the extra point.
Oh, no above and beyond. We're economists. We just wanted to go with the FRQ. All right. The United States manufacturer buys computer equipment from Japan. Current. You're trading imports and exports. we had the discussion back there of would it be capital because could you see it as business investment? They're not using it. It doesn't specifically say that they're using it for manufacturing, so you would read it as just an import or export. All right, go with the simplest answer. All right, your gut says it's current. All right, then say current. All right. B, how would an increase in the real income in the United States affect the current account balance? All right, you're saying deficit. Why? Why would imports increase? All right, so we have more money. All right, GDP's increased. We're producing more. We have more money. We're going to buy more stuff, both domestically, which we don't care about right now for this question, and foreign-wise. As we're buying more of that foreign goods and services, they're going to come in, but our currency is going to go out. That creates a deficit on the current account balance. Yay? Okay. And then it says explain. All right. So it would be a deficit due to the increase in GDP, which increases income. All right. That increase in income would then lead to us buying more foreign goods, leading to a deficit on the current account. Does that make sense? Capital account is investments, which are tied to real interest rates most of the time. All right, C, using a correctly labeled graph of the foreign exchange market for the US dollar. Show how a increase in the United States firm's direct investment in India will impact the value of the United States dollar relative to the Indian currency, the rupee. You don't even need to know what the rupee is. All right, but you're drawing what market? The dollar. So you have price of dollar, quantity of dollars, supply of dollars, demand of dollars. All right. Show how an increase in the United States firm's direct investment in India would affect that. So what line are you going to move? Supply, because it's U.S. firm on the dollar market. It's going to affect supply. How so? Why increase? So if we're investing in India, you're going to demand that currency, so you're going to supply ours. So it does what to our currency? Depreciates. All right. All right, so you have to draw a foreign exchange graph. All right. Showing an increase in the supply of the dollar.
If we have to draw both of them for it to make sense, we just cross out the other one. Or can we just
You can draw both, and if you have one clearly labeled as the dollar market, and it says show the dollar market, that's the one we grade.
So like,
Okay.
when you say clearly show, so like, since this one is labeled as like $1 and $1,
That would be enough.
that would be enough.
Yeah.
So if you label it, because I have to draw both.
If you draw both, and you have price of dollar, quantity of dollar on one, and you have price of R, quantity of R on the other, we would look at the dollar market. All right. If you're drawing both, you may want to write, guys, pay attention, listen. Or if you're not paying attention, at least be quiet so those that can hear. If you're drawing both, label one dollar market, rupee market, just to be sure. All right. Assume that the Village Idiot is grading your test, and you want to make sure that it's very easy and clear to read. Okay.
So you can draw both.
You can draw both, and we would grade just the dollar market. All right, but label it as dollar market. Well, it told you draw the dollar market, so we would be looking for the dollar market. Yeah, we would understand. All right, so are we good there? That makes sense?
Yes.
All right. That question was worth, see how many points it's worth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's worth 6 points. All right. How many of you would have gotten all 6? But based on what your answer was, and I'm not looking at your graph, but
I did the wrong one.
okay. So how many of you would have gotten 5? You at least drew the graph right. You may have even shifted it wrong. All right. Okay. But you got A and B correct. Right? The average score on that one was around 3. So if you're shooting above average, you're doing good. Okay? Yeah, you're going to have to work by yourself. All right, so real quick, let's talk about the format of the test. Okay? Section 1, you have 60 multiple choice questions. You have 70 minutes to answer them. Okay? It's about a minute 10 per question. You won't need it all for some. You may need it all for others.
Why don't we get more time for the same question?
Because you're doing math.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Yeah. So you have 70 minutes, 60 questions. Go at a good pace. Don't rush. All right. You have plenty of time. Every test I've given you this year was set to that scale. Okay. And most of you finished it just fine. This is not cross country, Reagan. We don't need to go as fast as possible. All right. So take your time. All right. Answer them at a good clip. If you don't know an answer, take an educated guess. Okay? You only get points, you don't lose them. All right, so answer every question. On the FRQs, you'll have 3 FRQs. 1 long one, and then 2 short. Okay? You'll have 55 minutes to answer those 3 questions. All right, the long one's the number 1. It's the one that has multiple steps. You'll probably have to reference 2 graphs, if not draw both graphs. My best guess is that we've already talked about the 2 things that are going to be on the long one. It'll be aggregate supply, aggregate demand, tied to some type of interest rate change and foreign exchange, and then fixing that change using monetary or physical policy, which we'll go over here in just a minute, and tying it to long run, which we'll talk about then as well. Okay? Then you'll have 2 short ones. My best guess for the short ones, balance sheets, which we'll talk about. All right, and then GDP. Maybe figuring GDP and adjusting for inflation. Jacob Clifford of ACDC Leadership thinks it's going to be loanable funds. All right. All right. We're going to go over loanable funds as well, so we'll be okay. All right. So let's look at loanable funds. Let's start there. I want to draw on the whiteboard with.
Are you gonna go over business?
No, I mean there's the 4 phases of this. We can talk about it at the end. All right, so loanable funds. What is the market that we're showing here? Market for loans. It's the borrowers and savers. It's the market for loans. What's on the vertical axis? R%, real interest rates. Why are we dealing with real interest rates?
Because that is what's going to help demand.
Nope.
Because you're gonna get rid of
Yeah, you're dealing with loans, so it's over time, and the cost of borrowing is interest. So we're going to look at interest rates over time and deal with real interest rates. All right. Bottom line is quantity of loans. So it's QLF. You have supply of loans. All right. It's upward sloping because banks are profit-seeking entities. So at higher interest rates, they will supply more loans. At lower interest rates, they'll supply less loans. Okay? Demand of loans, downward sloping. It's borrowing. High interest rates, we borrow less. Low interest rates, we borrow more because it's cheaper. Okay? All right, so who all will borrow money? The government. Households. Businesses. And who else? Foreign. All right. All right. So all 4 of these will borrow and save money. Okay. If it's borrowing, that affects demand. If it's savings, that affects supply. All right. The government borrowing, what do we call that? Deficit. When the government has a deficit, that is borrowing. They have to borrow funds in order to pay for the deficit. All right. That leads to what? Higher interest rates, but what do we call that when they increase interest rates and have to borrow more money, it's known as the crowding out effect. Okay? Crowding out is the government borrowing money, pushing up interest rates, right? Demanding more loans. Households, we just borrow. Okay, so if households are borrowing, that's demand. Businesses, when they borrow, they're taking out loans for investment. Okay, so it's capital investment, right? And they mean two different things. All right, on Forex, investment is like savings. They're looking for a rate of return. Loanable funds, it's domestic. When you use investment, it's businesses, it's borrowing. We like low interest rates. Foreign Forex, they like high interest rates. So keep those separate. All right. And then foreign is foreign direct investment. Okay. Or, all right, savings. What is it when the government saves? What do we call that? It's a budget surplus. All right. That would impact supply. And then you have household savings, businesses, retained earnings. They're holding on to profits. And then foreigners is capital inflow or outflow. Okay. So, let's see. I would show an increase in household savings.
You could increase the supply.
All right, so we would increase the supply of loans. We've now saving more. All right. Always draw your dots across. All right. All right. So we're saving more money. That increases the bank's supply of money to loan out. Okay. They have more supply of money to loan out. What does that do to real interest rates or the price of those loans? It decreases it. Okay. So now, is it cheaper or more expensive for households, businesses, the government to borrow? It is cheaper. So domestic borrowing will increase. What happens to foreign investment? It decreases. All right. Foreign investment, Forex. Yeah, you got to distinguish the two. All right. So that's an increase in savings by a household. What if we were going to increase a budget deficit? We had to use fiscal policy. So we increase government spending, all right, or lower taxes. That creates a budget deficit. So what do we do on the graph? So we increase demand. Change colors here, maybe. All right, so we increase demand.
Demand increases in a budget deficit.
Yes.
We need more money to balance it out.
We have to pay for the increase in spending. We have to borrow it since we didn't raise taxes to offset it. All right, so what does that do to real interest rates? It increases real interest rates, right? All right. Again, draw your dotted lines and arrows. All right, draw your graphs big, make your shifts big. All right, this is easy to grade. All right. If you really wanted to be nice to us graders, you would write off to the side that real interest rates increased as well. So show it and then state it. All right, just showing it's enough if you have the dotted line and arrows. This is super nice.
Wait, so when you did ours, was that because you tied it back to the question?
No, new question.
Oh, okay, I was about to be like.
No, we changed to government deficit. Okay? Are you okay, Archie? Does this make sense? We're all good. All right. Any other questions on loanable funds?
I have one more question.
Uh-huh.
So on that one, do we just show like the R percent change? We don't have to like draw the dotted lines down and just show the percentage change?
They, unless they say, how does it impact quantity of funds as well? No.
You don't have to.
If 99% of the time they're going to be asking, how does it impact real interest rates? So that's all we really, you can. It would not be a bad idea to show the change down there as well. All right. So, all right. Are we good? All right.
Oh.
My handy dandy floor eraser. Don't tell anybody. All right. Money market. What does that graph show? Supply and demand of money, right? Okay. And when we're talking money, it's this big concept. Money, it's all money within a system, not just currency. All right, so we have nominal interest rates on the vertical. We have quantity of money on the horizontal, Q of M. Demand of money, just like any other demand curve, is downward sloping. All right, who controls the demand of money? We do, everybody, right? People, government, right? Anybody that would demand or want to hold on to money. All right, supply of money is different. It's vertical. All right, who controls the supply of money? Federal Reserve. Why is it vertical? They don't care about, they're not a business, they're not for profit, so they just want to set, this is the quantity of money. So seeking profits like a bank would, when you had an upward sloping supply line, the Federal Reserve is not a profit-seeking entity. So they are there to set the quantity of money, and so they are almost interest rate free, right? So they control the supply of money, Federal Reserve. What are the three ways they control the supply of money?
Market operations.
All right, so Fed, they can change the required reserve ratio, the discount rate, and open market operations. All right, so let's talk about what each of those are. All right, the discount rate. All right, is the discount rate is what I said. All right, discount rate is the interest rate that the Federal Reserve is charging banks for overnight loans. Why would a bank need to take out an overnight loan?
They have run a deficit in there. They don't have the required reserve ratio, so they have to borrow money from banks. They don't have.
You're close. Their balance sheets aren't balanced. All right, they don't have enough required reserves to meet their demand deposits in the required reserve ratio. All right, so they would have to borrow money from another bank. All right, if they're using the discount rate, they're borrowing from the Federal Reserve, which means that other banks aren't trusting them either. Okay, that's a bad sign. Not a good thing. It's like borrowing money from mommy. All right, you'd much rather borrow from your friends. All right, required reserve ratio. What is that? All right, it is the amount of demand deposits that banks must hold on to at all times. All right, so changing the required reserve ratio changes excess reserves. All right, open market operations, buying or selling bonds. Okay, if we are buy bonds, all right, so buy bonds equals big bucks, which means what? All right, buy bonds is big bucks. That's an increase in the supply of money. All right, sell bonds, small bucks. That decreases the supply of money. All right, so buy bonds, big bucks, sell bonds, small bucks. All right, so big would be increase, small would be decrease. All right, so those are the three ways the Federal Reserve can change the supply of money. All right, so that gets us into monetary policy. All right, so, and then we'll talk physical policy as well. Why would the Federal Reserve want to buy bonds? What are they trying to fix? A recession. All right, they want more money in the market. They're trying to fix a recession so that lowers interest rates, okay, encouraging more borrowing from businesses and consumers, increasing spending, which increases aggregate demand. And that's what we want to happen. All right, then you can go even tie it into foreign exchange, and that lower interest rates detract foreign investment on the Forex graph, depreciating our dollar, causing net exports to go up, which is even better. All right, so now there's no counter-cyclical effect and no lags. Yeah. All right, so discount rate. If the Federal Reserve is battling inflation, all right, what do we want to do to interest rates? We want to increase interest rates. How would we change the discount rate? You would increase the discount rate. By increasing the discount rate, even though it's not widely used, in theory, you would be increasing the cost of borrowing for overnight loans, so banks would be more tight with how much money they loan out, which would lower excess reserves, right? Which would cause interest rates to go up and discourage investment both from consumers and businesses. Okay, the discount rate, they can change it a lot, but it doesn't really do much. Okay, we could change the required reserve ratio, but it's too effective. By changing the required reserve ratio, you're now getting into, now banks don't know how much they can loan out all the time if it's constantly being changed. All right, so their most common thing they use is open market operations, the buying and selling of bonds. It has the impact they want without having too much of a side effect of what the required reserve ratio would do in causing instability in banking. Okay, so monetary policy, changing required reserve ratio, discount rate, or buying and selling bonds, causing a change in interest rates, which impacts borrowing and foreign investment on the Forex graph. Okay, so on your pink sheet, somebody have one I can look at?
I got you.
All right, so let's talk through the monetary policy on the pink sheet. There's no way of having y'all see that out there, I'm sorry. All right, so our problem is, let's go with recession. All right, so we're battling high unemployment. What would be our goal for aggregate demand? To increase or decrease? Increase aggregate demand. So we would use expansionary policy, or what's the other name they could throw at you? Easy money. All right, so your options would be to lower the discount rate, lower the required reserve ratio, or buy bonds. All right, all of which would increase the excess reserves, increasing the supply of money, causing nominal interest rates or the federal funds rate to decrease. All right, if I'm decreasing interest rates, what does that do to bond prices? It increases them. They have an inverse relationship. Okay, just remember that. Decreasing interest rates increases bond prices. Right? So if I decrease the nominal interest rate, I haven't changed inflation. What does that do to real interest rates? And decreases as well, because real interest rate is nominal minus inflation. All right, decreasing real interest rates, I now have an increase in borrowing from both businesses and consumers. And since consumer spending is the largest part of GDP or spending, that impacts AD as well. Business spending also impacts AD in the same way. Changing interest rates changes Forex. Right? We've lowered the interest rate, so the demand for the dollar will decrease, or supplies of the dollar will increase. Either way, that does what to the exchange rate? It depreciates, causing net exports to increase. All right, so now we have CI and XN all increasing. So what happens to aggregate demand? Increases GDP, therefore increases price level, increases, and we have fixed the recession. Yay. Woo! All right, so are we good with monetary policy? All right, let's look at fiscal policy. All right, this is the government, all right, not the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is monetary policy. When we talk government here, we are talking Congress. All right, power of the purse from yesterday is
Controlling the
House of Representatives, Congress. You've all, government's gone. Government's gone. No more government. All right. All right. Real quick. How do we fix stagflation? You have high unemployment and high inflation. What would the Federal Reserve fix first? You know, we just blow everything up. No. Start over. All right. We have high inflation and high unemployment. Which one should we use first? We fix inflation. You fix the inflation first. You cause more of a recession, but you get prices where people can spend. So use contractionary monetary policy. All right, Reaganomics. All right, so if you're battling stagflation, you would use contractionary monetary policy, driving interest rates down, all right, or driving interest rates up, decreasing spending, causing more unemployment, but at least the people that now have jobs can afford to buy things, which would then, in the long term, cause more spending, hopefully. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, somebody asked online. Somebody asked online. I know, Sarah, you're all confused, aren't you?
Yeah, now we're gonna do that for FRT.
This is a camera and it's broadcasting live on the internet to this thing called YouTube's.
That makes sense to me.
Does it make sense to you? Okay.
YouTube's.
YouTube's. It's a fancy name for it. I have no idea. I'm not even looking because I don't want to.
You just wanna look at it.
I got when I had to talk to Tom Ritchie last Friday. It freaked me out when I looked at the number first. So
What was that?
when I got on, it was like 1,200. When I got off, probably 2. Yeah, I ran them all off every time. All right, fiscal policy. All right, let's fix inflation. Fiscal policy. Fiscal. Fiscal. You're not going to get it wrong because you're going to think of how I would say it.
Lower government spending and raise taxes.
I can't spell or pronounce things. Oh, well. Okay. All right. Yeah. So we're fixing inflation. Your 2 government tools, you would decrease government spending or raise taxes. Automatic problem from the very beginning. Side effect of, can I do either one of these options? Not politically, no. All right, if I raise taxes, bye-bye, Mr. Molden from public office, right? I'm done. Okay, if I decrease government spending, sounds great on paper until it's the program that you use. And then, oh, isn't that cute? All right, and then all of a sudden, now I'm cutting your pay or cutting the program that you use or that you receive a subsidy from, and now you're not voting for me, so now I'm out of office again. Or I could just let's cut government spending of defense spending. No, suddenly now I ticked off all the South. I'm done. All right, so, and every American. So, all right, yeah, I can't do contractionary policy. All right, but let's say we did anyways. It's my last term. I don't care about running for reelection. We're going to raise taxes because that's what's needed. Inflation's at like 30%. All right, we're going to fix it. All right, so we're going to use contractionary policy. We're going to raise taxes. What does that do to aggregate demand? I have taken your money from you. You can't spend it, so it decreases aggregate demand. Decreasing GDP and price level. I fixed inflation, but what happened to unemployment? It goes up. Now, for there to be an inflationary gap, we're probably operating at a point where we're below the natural rate of unemployment. Remember that confusing term. All right, so now we're moving towards the natural rate of unemployment, so it's probably okay to increase unemployment some. All right, what does that do to our budget deficit? Now we have a surplus. All right, I raised taxes. I now have more money coming in. I have a budget surplus. So what does that do to loanable funds? Increases the supply of loanable funds. So that does what to interest rates? It decreases interest rates. Who likes lower interest rates? Business, everybody, right? Everybody likes lower interest rates. So now everybody's going to borrow more money. Do I want that happening? No, I want less borrowing. All right. So now you have what is known as a lag or counter-cyclical problem. Okay. So now, here's the good news. Consumer spending is the largest part of spending. It's 60 to 70% given on the year. Right. So if I've raised taxes, consumers have less money to spend. So I've pushed aggregate demand down, but you've also encouraged more business investment by having a budget surplus and encouraged with lower interest rates, so that increases business investment. So we have a little bit of a pushback. All right, lower interest rates does what on the Forex graph? It causes our currency to depreciate, either because of a decrease in demand for the dollar or a increase in supply of the dollar because we're investing overseas. All right, which causes depreciated dollar, causes net exports to increase. Again, another counter-cyclical problem, another lag. All right, but the overall goal for contractionary policy was to decrease aggregate demand, and we would have done that. All right, but you did have some pushback, some lags. All right, so your two tools for contractionary policy from the government is decrease government spending, increase taxes. Price level above your equilibrium price level. All right, so are we good? All right, we've now hit all the major graphs. Okay, let's look at balance sheets next. To practice balance sheets, let's look at, let me find a FRQ for us to look at. I think 2010 Form B has one. I'll throw it up on the screen. You can look at it in your packets if you're here with me.
What number are we going to?
Yeah, 2010 Form B number 2. 2010 Form B number 2. So I'm about to put it up on the screen. For balance sheets, dealing with multiple deposit expansions, it should be number 2.
Oh, is this a balance?
Sells bonds on the open markets, no excess reserves.
We literally just said it.
Oh, no, that's not the right one. Never mind. Not 2010 Form B.
Yeah,
Which one did I circle? It has like Swell Bank.
yeah, that's it.
2011 number 3.
No, that's 2010 Form B. I got it.
No. No, it's 2000. There it is.
It's right here.
I'm looking at it right here too. Aaron, I got it right here. Put Delilah down. Just 2011, number 3. All right. You have a balance sheet from Swell Bank. All right, so take a couple minutes and work through that one. All right, we're going to look at balance sheets. We'll talk about multipliers and dealing with, after that, with MPC. And then we're going to be done. Okay? So if you have any other questions after that, I'll answer them. Otherwise, we're going to take a mental break. Okay? So we probably are going to go for another 30 minutes.
Is it required reserves over demand deposit? Let's say it's on a reservation.
Yes.
So it's 20%.
Yes. All right, so anybody watching, we have probably about another 30 minutes to go. So if you have any questions. What?
What do you do the rest of the time? Are you studying?
I don't know. You want to know? Let me see. Okay. 50. I know some of them want
Based on the supply.
Oh my gosh, people are actually like watching.
No, it's kind of weird.
Mr. Mulder. I was ready for APN. I got.
And C would be, train 25,000. Yeah, I think it's 20. What's min? Min plus.
Yeah, that's the price you have, everybody that's, saving. Aaron, it's already been said, just know that. No, it's the regular.
It might be well, they were going on.
So you say your 20% was right? Wait, you got small?
I asked him, like, yeah, he like. Like, I'm surprised.
Like the bonds are already like in this. So it doesn't affect the.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't want her.
1029.
What? Go really quickly. You can know.
All right, let's go over this. We'll walk our way through it. All right. So, sorry, the people watching. All right, I had the wrong screen up. So, 2011, we have a balance sheet. You have assets on one side that has excess reserves, required reserves, and all kind of other things on there, loans, securities, and things. Then you have liabilities. The big thing we're looking at over there is demand deposits. Okay? Based on Swell's balance sheet, calculate the required reserve ratio. 20%. How did you get that? They, in the required reserves, have 2,000. In demand deposits, they have 10. So 2 over 10 is 20%. All right? So what is the required reserve ratio? 2011, number 3. I think we've done it in class already once. All right. Suppose that the Federal Reserve purchases $5,000 worth of bonds from the Swell Bank. So Federal Reserve's buying bonds, big bucks, expansionary policy, all that we're not carrying right now. All right. What would be the change in the dollar value of each of the following immediately after the purchase? So you're not doing multiple deposit expansion. You're just going, the moment they do this, how does it impact these things? All right. Excess reserves. How much goes in? 5,000. All of it. When the Federal Reserve purchases bonds, all of it goes into excess reserves. How much goes into demand deposits? 0. Okay? Here's why. All right? On the asset side, your government securities or bonds, the bank sold them to the Federal Reserve. So that now goes from 7,000 to 2,000. All right? So all of it goes into excess reserves. So that goes from 0 to 5. Your asset side didn't change in value, so your liability side doesn't change in value. Okay? So Yes. Because the bank sold them, the Federal Reserve bought them. So the bank handed me bonds, I handed the bank cash, they put it all into excess reserves. All right. So does that part are we good? Awesome. C, calculate the maximum amount that the money supply can change as a result of this $5,000 purchase. Now we're into multiple deposit expansions. Okay? So you're going to take your $5,000 purchase, right? If we're going to do it the long way, you would then find the immediate change in excess reserves, which we said was what? 5,000. Multiply that by the money multiplier. All right, which would be 5, and now you have it. Okay? Since it's the Federal Reserve, you just multiply the money multiplier times it. Money multiplier is 1 over the required reserve ratio. Okay? The other way, the way we did it in class, the long way. Let's walk through that one. Think that might confuse you? Yes, no?
I won't listen to it. I won't.
Okay, you want to see it.
What are we doing?
Multiple deposit expansion.
Aaron, no.
Don't know what I'm getting into?
Did we talk about it?
All right, so let's talk about the 4 types, and then we'll apply it to this one. All right, so type 1, all right, is just a change in excess reserves. All right, how do you find that?
Change in excess reserves. You have to take your demand deposits.
It's initial deposit minus the initial deposit times the required reserve ratio. Okay? So if you were doing that for this question, the initial deposit was 5,000. All right, minus 5,000 times 0.2, which will give you 1,000. So your would be 4K. Okay? I said it right there. See it right there? Okay. Now, next step, max new loans. It's type 2. All right, you take your change in excess reserves and multiply that by the money multiplier. Money multiplier is 1 over the required reserve ratio. All right, so in this case would be 1 over 0.2, which is 5. So you have 4,000 times 5. So you have 20,000. Okay, so that's type 2, max new loans. Yes? Okay. Change in money supply is type 3. So you're going to take your max new loans and then add in Federal Reserve action, which was 20,000 plus the 5,000 purchase. And so you have a grand total of 25,000. Okay? So that's your answer for C. Now, could you have just taken the 5,000 and tied it by the multiplier and gotten the correct answer?
Yes.
Yes. All right. For this question, that would have worked. What if it was Aaron depositing $5,000? Would that have worked? No. Okay. It would not have worked because your max, if it's Aaron depositing the money, you have a 0 change in the initial in the Federal Reserve, and so your change is 20. All right, not 25. Okay. So, going through the steps, make sure you get it right, whether it's the Federal Reserve or Aaron. Okay. All right, the last type they can ask is change in demand deposits. So you take your max new loans and then you add in the initial deposit. So even with Aaron depositing the 5,000, you would add in the 5,000 back in to the 20 and you get 25. All right, Federal Reserve you would add the 5,000 back in anyways, so it would be 25. So if it's the Federal Reserve, types 3 and 4 are the same. If it's Aaron, it's different. Okay? Country E. All right. Oh, looks like I got kicked off Twitter. I have no idea.
You need to log in.
Stupid. All right. So are we okay with balance sheets? Let's finish up looking at that question. We are going to finish the FAQ. All right. All right, so that was C. D, when the Federal Reserve purchases bonds, what will happen to the price of bonds in the open market? Explain. All right, they will increase. Why? All right, so no clue. All right, let's walk through it. It's not nearly as complicated as you think, okay? So we buy bonds equals big bucks, so the supply of money increased. What happens to nominal interest rates? They decrease. When you decrease interest rates, what happens to the price of bonds? They increase. That's your explanation. Okay? Yeah. So, no, increase in supply. Supply decreases nominal interest rates, increases the price of bonds.
Supply of money or
Supply of money. Buy bonds, big bucks. So supply of money increases, nominal interest rates decrease,
and
price of bonds increase.
Why does the nominal interest rate affect bonds?
Short answer is it just does.
Let's answer that.
Long answer is that when you're buying bonds, so you have a bond that you bought last week. All right, you have a $100 bond at 5% interest rates. I've changed the supply of money. All right, I've increased it, so interest rates have gone down. Now bonds are currently selling at $100 with 3% interest. Well, I want your $100 at 5, so I will pay you more than the $100 to get it from you, so your bond price increases. Because I don't want the 3% one that's the market selling. I want yours. That makes sense? Okay. All right. E, suppose that instead of the purchase of bonds by the Federal Reserve, an individual, Aaron, deposits $5,000 in cash into, we'll say his, checking account, which is a demand deposit. What is the immediate impact of this on M1? So we took cash and put it into a demand deposit. What does M1 do? Nothing. M1 is cash, coins, and demand deposits. So if I took it from one and put it in the other, M1 didn't change. Okay, it's stuff that you can spend while you're at the store. All right, M2, let's talk about M2 real quick. All right, M2 money is M1 plus near money, which is savings. Okay, so did M2 change at all either? No, I didn't change M1, so M2 didn't change it. All right.
Did M1 ever increase?
If I took money from savings into cash. All right, last thing. Everybody take stretch real quick. I'm getting tired. Everybody else tired?
yeah.
Head hurts. All right. The good news is that we've gone through all of macro in like an hour and a half. Really quickly, like speed rush. All right. MPC and multipliers. Okay. This will be on there at some point as a multiple choice probably. All right, so MPC and multipliers. You're going to have to do math for multiple choice.
Yay.
All right, so MPC, MPS, marginal propensity to consume, marginal propensity to save. All right, it's how much of new income you consume, how much of new income you save. All right, APC, APS is how much of your current income you consume or how much of your current income you save. All right. When we're using multipliers, we're going to look at how a change in spending or a change in taxes will impact future spending, future savings. So you're going to use MPC, MPS, since that's dealing with the future. All right. So your spending multiplier is 1 over MPS. Okay. Your tax multiplier is MPC over MPS. All right. If I increase spending, spending multiplier is positive. All right. If I decrease spending, spending multiplier is negative. All right. If I increase taxes, my tax multiplier is negative. If I decrease taxes, my tax multiplier is positive. So it depends on if it's positive or negative, depends on how you're using it. Yeah. So if I increase spending, positive. If I decrease taxes, positive. Because now there's more money to spend and save. Yeah. 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 Should be. My Euro class might be in there, but you can tell them be quiet. All right. Anything else?
Wow.
MPC is how much of our new income we spend. MPS is how much of our new income we save.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It takes more than a summer.
Okay.
What does the A stand for in A?
Average.
And then N is marginal.
Marginal. All right.
1 over MPS.
If we don't have any other questions, we've gone hard for an hour and a half, a little over, and I say we're done. All right. So, oh, CPI. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it going to be on there? I think it's going to be on there for an FRQ with GDP. Jacob Clifford thinks it's going to be level funds. So let's go over it. All right, let's see. We'll have our country. So to find GDP and CPI and all that, you're going to have a country with some type of production. We use a market basket or a basket of goods that economy commonly buys to find CPI. We're measuring changes in prices. So for our country, let's say we have the country of G. All right. They buy the items, let's see, they normally buy 2 chocolate bars. Chocolate. All right. They buy 4 Gatorades. I'm just looking at things around the country. I don't know how to spell Gatorade. I got it. And 6 pineapples.
I know.
I don't know where you saw.
I know. They're massive chocolate bars. All right. So then they'll give you some years. So let's say we have 2011, 2012. We'll say that our 2012 is our base year. Okay. All right. So then let's say chocolate bars in 2011 were $3. Gatorades are $1. Yeah, we're using 2012. And pineapples are $2. I don't know. Chocolate became highly in demand, so it increased. Gatorades didn't change. Pineapple didn't change. All right. So step 1 is to find the value of the market baskets. Right? Okay. So it is $3 per chocolate bar, $1 per Gatorade, $2 per pineapple.
22.
All right. So find the value of the 2 market baskets. All right, ready, go. I'm going to do it myself.
know the first one is dividing.
All right, so your market basket should have a value of $22 and $24. Okay?
Yes.
We're using 2012 as our base year because I said so. College Board will tell you which one to use as your base year as well. So there you go. All right. So to find CPI for 2011, it is current divided by base times 100. All right, so current is $22 divided by the base of $24 times 100, and somebody with the calculator help me out. I didn't make the math friendly. College Board will. 91.7. All right, so they're going to make the math friendly for you if they have you do this. All right, so it would probably be like 20 over 25. Okay, or all right. So all right, so 91.7. What's the base? What is CPI for 2012? 100. Your base year CPI is always 100. All right, so for CPI for 2012 is 100. All right, if we want to find inflation, new minus old divided by old times 100. All right, so if we want to find inflation from 2011 to 2012, it's 100 minus 91.7 divided by 91.7 times 100. Calculator.
So it's
New minus old divided by old.
new minus old divided by old.
No.
You can do it.
It's base.
It'd be 8.3 divided by 91.7.
Yeah.
You can do that in your head?
Yeah.
Okay. You're a better person than I.
Let me get my brain.
All right. So you should have an inflation rate of around 9%. 9.05. Woo!
Wait, what's
All right,
the
so-
formula again?
All right. So now you have inflation of 9.05%. Is that good or bad? That's terrible. Not ideal. Not ideal would be putting it lightly. Okay. So what would be our policy options?
We need to increase taxes.
We could increase taxes, decrease spending, or do monetary contractionary policy, sell bonds. And we would fix this, theoretically. All right. So with that, we're done. All right. Any other questions you have? Raise your hand, ask. I'll walk around. Otherwise, relax. You have an hour and a half until we need to be in the testing room. Okay? So we'll be in here for the next 40, 45 minutes. All right. And then we'll go eat lunch, eat a good lunch, eat something healthy, not full of sugar. All right. Then we're going to go to lunch. Then you'll meet at the testing room at 11:45. And then you're going to kill the test.
This is gonna kill me.
No, it's not. You're going to kill the test. All right.